down with the winner of the Bitcoin 2023 infrastructure pitch competition. It is Max Kei, the COO of Debifi. Debifi is an awesome new product that is bringing trustless lending capabilities to Bitcoin and a global audience. I'm really excited to tease out Debifi, talk about why they won the pitch competition with Max. Max, what is up, my man? Welcome to the show.
Hey man, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you for allowing us to win the pitch competition, so providing that opportunity. I'm happy to be here. I was happy to be in Miami. Hopefully, we'll be in Nashville next year. But anyway, yeah, huge pleasure. Happy to talk. Happy to answer all the questions.
So, Max, you obviously pitched for Debifi and won half of our startup competition. We had two winners. We had the infrastructure
Yeah.
panel, and then we had our competition. We had the adoption competition. So we're going to be talking with Geyser Fund, the winner of the adoption competition, next. But Max, I think a lot of Bitcoiners should already be very familiar with you, even though Debifi is a new product. You've been a part of a huge lending company, Hodl Hodl. You are a
Yeah.
co-organizer of Baltic Honey Badgers, and full disclosure, Honey Badger 2019 was one of the best Bitcoin conferences I personally attended and was very formative in my career in growing in Bitcoin. So thank you so much for organizing that. But why don't you kind of give the audience a quick introduction?
Yeah, so we have obviously I was contributing a lot and I'm still contributing to a lot to Hodl Hodl, which is a peer-to-peer non-custodial trading and lending platform. So our lending platform is actually available globally, and so we've been actually I have experience in building non-custodial Bitcoin-only lending products for more than 3 years, 2 3 years now. Lend.hodlhodl.com was launched in 2021, I think, in autumn 2021. Now, obviously, Baltic Honey Badger, as you said. Now, Debifi is a new kind of beast. It's still not publicly available. We're actually launching it at the end of this year, probably end of third quarter, maybe the beginning of fourth quarter. But yeah, it's going to be a bit different with Hodl Hodl and with lending platform, in particular with Hodl Hodl lending platform. We are targeting the retail consumers. So the maximum amount of the loan that you can get at lend at Hodl Hodl is 25K, and you only can get a loan against your Bitcoin in stablecoins, which is predominantly it's USDT, Tether, and USDC. Now with Debifi, uh, with with Debifi, we actually have a different kind of approach. We are targeting institutional lenders, traditional TradeFi, traditional finance institutions, and we're willing to bring them to the Bitcoin standard, and we're willing them to start giving loans to Bitcoiners across the globe with no limitations in terms of geography, liquidity, and even if they don't understand how Bitcoin works, they should understand that Bitcoin is a super collateral, and we want to bring that super collateral to them.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk to you about what you mean by Bitcoin being super collateral. But before getting into it, I kind of want to talk about the lending market in general and what Debifi is trying to accomplish. In your presentation for when you won the competition, you kind of talked about the Bitcoin lending and trading ecosystem that
Yeah.
emerged starting really in 2017 and subsequently blew up in 2022. But over that 5 year, period, there was a lot of building and and then again, a lot of destruction. Talk to us about what went wrong with that market and how can it be done better?
Well, obviously, the only way how to do it better is do not rehypothecate the loans. So basically, the only way how you can do the best and the better Bitcoin borrowing is actually by doing multisig. So it means basically non-custodial storage of collateral. So there are a couple of companies that doing multisig in lending space, and basically these companies actually those who survived mostly.
It,
So it's
yeah,
I'm gonna
it's pretty consistent. The ones who
yeah
are
yeah
rehypothecating blew up. The ones
yeah
that
yeah
that
of
pretty much
course
were full reserve and you could prove it cryptographically on chain
yeah
using Bitcoin
yeah
multisig,
yeah.
um, they're still around.
So it's basically, as far as I'm aware, there's basically two running companies. One is Land at Hodl Hodl. We do 2 out of 3 multisig. Another one is Unchained. They're also doing 2 out of 3. So both of these companies are doing well, growing. We have different approach, right? But the core functionality, core technology is the Bitcoin multisig, which is pretty conservative approach, if you would ask me. But again, Bitcoin is a precious asset, and obviously you want to have a conservative approach to that, because I think that the main issue was that people were running towards yield generation on top of your Bitcoin, and nobody understand how the yield is generated. I think nobody understand from the users of this platform, because if you don't understand, there's a good saying: if you don't understand how the yield is generated, then probably you are the yield. I don't understand what's the reason to earn yield on top of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin itself is like super asset. It's already generating you a yield if you compare it to fiat, which is dropping in purchasing power and the value, and to any other asset. Actually, Bitcoin is the best performing asset. It's not just words, it's actually facts and statistics. You can check it out. So there's no reason actually to earn yield with your Bitcoin. I think the only way you can actually use Bitcoin in lending is by using and by borrowing against that, because it's super collateral. So I think that's the main problem. That was the main problem: replication of user funds, trying to earn as much yield as possible, not being transparent enough. As you said, there's no verify. You cannot verify what's happening within those lenders, and effectively 2021 like made a good use case, hopefully, for all the future Bitcoin borrowers. I hope so, at least.
Got it. So, obviously rehypothecating is a business model, right? And it's a very traditional finance business model. Maybe, people were even taking their traditional finance heuristics and laying it onto Bitcoin, which is a mistake typically.
Yeah.
Talk to us about like what's in it for, the facilitator like Debifi in terms of the potential market opportunity, and how do you monetize if you're not hypothecating the funds?
Well, there's more traditional ways. You just don't need to be greedy, I would say. And first of all, there's always origination fee. So every time you have a successful loan issued on your platform, you charge some fee from the borrower for issuing that loan, or for providing technology to help issue that loan. Then there's an unfortunate and an unpleasant fee, which is liquidation fee. But well, unfortunately, liquidation happens sometimes, and nobody likes liquidating people. Nobody likes, doing the liquidation. But that's just part of the market. Sometimes where when the Bitcoin price is like going down sharply, then unfortunately, into to cover the your loan obligation, you need to liquidate the borrower. For Debifi, a part of origination fee and a part of liquidation fee, we also created an interesting value proposition or interesting competitive advantage because of our multi-signature scheme, which is 3 out of 4, and because of our proprietary tag that we actually developed already and tested, which is an escrow migration tag. We will be able to open also secondary market for Debifi, which means it's not only for Debifi, it's actually for the whole industry, for the Bitcoin industry, because secondary market is something that is not existing in Bitcoin lending space at the moment. Now, what does this mean? It means that because of the multisig and because of our internal technology, you will be able to change the lender in your loan at some point in the future. For example, if there's a lender who has like 1 million worth of loans, and suddenly he wants to sell all those loans and to have extra liquidity for, I don't know, buying Bitcoin, whatever, he can actually go in Debifi. Inside of Debifi, will have market, and he will be able to resell his loan portfolio to other lenders who will be willing to buy this. And every time the resale will happen, we're going to charge a secondary market fee for changing the lender in your contract. The best part is that we have developed technology that allows you to change the keys without exposing them to the parties. So it's safe, it's secure, and it's pretty robust. And it actually makes Bitcoin even more powerful collateral because at the moment, if you have issued a Bitcoin loan, for example, for 1 year or for 2 year, as a lender, most probably in most use cases, you are stuck with this loan. So basically, you need to wait either for liquidation to come, which is rarely an unfortunate event, or you just need to wait for a year or for 2 year until the loan is repaid. So there's loan maturity. Now, what we're going to do with Debifi is that you won't be stuck with this loan. If at any certain point of time in the future you will need some extra liquidity, you can sell your whole loan portfolio, you can sell part of your loan portfolio, you can sell one loan, two loan, whatever. As long as there is buyer, you will be able to do that and you will be able to get more liquidity. Secondary market is something that exists already in traditional finance, but until now it wasn't existent in Bitcoin lending space.
So really the secondary market is made possible through kind of two elements, right? One is the underlying multi-sig technology, which
Yes.
you've developed in order to kind of create the ability to fluidly swap keys out, lenders keys out, and ownership. The other one is your own UX and UI that you've kind of like
Yeah.
built out there.
Yeah.
So I guess let's just talk through about the Debify interface in general, and
Yeah.
what you're building. So you described the solution as a non-custodial Bitcoin-backed lending platform providing institutional grade liquidity. So you have
Yeah.
the lending, it's non-custodial, and there's going to be liquidity, and it's going to be available globally for everyone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm a user. I'm joining the platform. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Let's talk about the product.
Yeah. So first of all, the crucial part is that we're not going to stream the liquidity through our entity, or we're just going to be the technical providers. Basically, what we're building is institutional peer-to-peer. So there will be multiple lenders. And when I say that you will be able to borrow globally, it means that if there is a liquidity provider or a lender which is institutional institution at any certain market, like let's say Brazil or China, and they want to start lending out the money and they want to use Bitcoin as a collateral, you will be able to borrow in this certain markets. So for Debify to move to
It's a
any
two-sided
certain,
market, right?
yeah,
You're bringing
yeah,
together both
yeah, yeah,
liquidity
yeah,
providers and
and borrowers.
and users, borrowers. And but you need both sides to adopt the tech, but it's open source tech, so it should be easy, right? Am I correct there?
It will be partially open source. So the key generation, which is the crucial part of the text, so you can verify that everything was done properly, it's going to be open source, of course, and it's actually already partially open source. So yeah, the thing for Debify, it's highly scalable. We provide a tech, and in order to move to any certain market, let's say Brazil, we just need to find a liquidity partner on this market, like Brazil bank or hedge fund or whatever, who says like, okay, we want to explore this opportunity, we want to start lending money and using Bitcoin as a collateral, because again, Bitcoin is a super collateral. We're going to touch base on that bit later, but anyway, we can just in 2 weeks we're there. We're just going to add Brazilian real to the equation, to the offering of our platform, and that's it. Or if you want to borrow in stable coins, you can borrow in stable coins globally. Like there's no borders for stable coins such Tether or USDC. So basically, this is what we're building. We're building like market-driven platform. For you as for a user, if you want to borrow, you go to the Debify, you register, you sign up basically. Then you just search like input the criteria that you want to borrow. Let's say you want to borrow for 3 years with 10 or 12% interest rate per year, and you want to borrow, like, let's say 1 million worth of stable coins with LTV ratio, let's say 50%. And we're going to match you with the lender, or you will be matched automatically if there's such type of offer available. So in most of the cases, we're not going to do any manual work. It will be automatically matched with the lender. And then you communicate directly with the lender. You basically engage in offer creation. You create a multi-signature escrow with your keys, and you lock, as a borrower, you lock your Bitcoin into this multi-signature escrow as a collateral. As soon as the Bitcoin is in this multi-signature escrow, we inform all involved parties that, hey guys, Bitcoin is there. We have enough confirmation. It's locked in multisig. You can issue the loan, and then the lender, whether it's a bank or whether it's a stable coin issuer, just issue you a loan directly to your wallet or to your bank account, and that's it. The only difference, and I need to say this so that people actually understand this clearly. The only difference is that in some cases they might be required KYC. So if it's a bank and if it's a fiat, they might just say, "Hey, well, obviously we're a bank, we're going to issue you fiat, so you need to pass through the KYC procedure, and then we will be able to issue you a loan." In some cases, when there's stablecoin involved with some liquidity providers, they're not legally obliged to do the KYC, because it's basically crypto to crypto. So it's Bitcoin versus stablecoins. So yeah, we will have all the functionality for institutions. Like, you want to gather KYC data, you're going to gather this KYC data. Again, secondary market functionality, issuing loans. And the best part for lenders, I think, in this case is that they communicate directly with the borrowers and they receive whole interest payment to their wallet. We're not acting as a middleman in terms of cutting the fee from their interest payment. We just say, you provide liquidity, you receive the whole interest.
Yep, that makes sense. And then, you make money, obviously, your business model, liquidation, origination, and then the fees from the secondary market. Um,
I would say actually origination and secondary market. Liquidation is something that it occurs, of course. We saw that previously, especially during the bear market, but it's not something we actually make forecast out of. And we actually provide a lot of ways how to avoid liquidation. You can, first of all, you can do an early repayment of your loan. You can do a partial repayment of your loan, or you can add more to collateral, so you can actually send more Bitcoin to the collateral, and then your LTV ratio will be automatically rebalanced, and you will avoid that. So we are not the fans of, to be honest, of liquidation, because it's always like a pretty stressful moment for all involved parties. We don't like that.
No, I can imagine it's not fun for everyone, and it's probably
Yeah,
something that people aren't used to as well. Maybe that's their first time taking a Bitcoin back loan, and with a house and things like that, liquidation
yeah,
is much, much, much slower than it can happen in
yeah,
Bitcoin. So,
yeah, yeah.
it's definitely, I think, unusual. I want to talk a little bit about the secondary market. So, obviously, you have an API. My assumption is you want to enable, let's say a financial provider in somewhere across the world, let's just say in Thailand, to plug into your API and then offer a almost like a white labeled solution or an interface for someone to input money and take out a loan. I guess, can you talk to us a little bit about the API and like the vision for how an enterprise might use that?
Yeah, when we're going to release the platform, we're going to release the API for this platform shortly. But actually, the platform allows you more flexibility than just general white label solution. There's no if you don't wanna to build anything on top of API or integrate that system into your system, like into your mobile bank or whatever, you can just go to the platform, register as a lender, and you can just use platform as a lender. You don't need to build something on top of API. If you want to go with more like sophisticated way, I would say, and you want to offer to your customers an experience from your interfaces, then you can just use the API. You can integrate Debifi into your own mobile bank or into your own system, and your customers will be able to borrow against their Bitcoin. If you serve that type of customers, they will be able to borrow from you if you want that. If you want to open the total, like the whole market opportunity, then you will be able to offer them also other lenders. But it's, again, it depends on the market. Regulation heavily depends on regulation, and what banks are allowed and not allowed to do in certain regions. But yeah, we will provide API, and you will be able to use Debifi through API, and your customers actually won't even understand that you're using API, so you can build your own lending products on top of our lending product.
No, I think it's really exciting, and it's a really smart approach, right? You're already working with entities that are going through the compliance. Like you, as Debify, don't necessarily have to go through like this horribly painstaking process of doing like the compliance element of trying to interact with the legacy financial system. So I think it's really smart, but I think a lot of the bet, right, is these financial institutions and players are going to want to get on Bitcoin and are going to start making themselves familiar with using keys and
Yeah.
interacting this way. And we need this market to develop further. And it seems as though it's going that direction, but I'm kind of curious. Like, talk to us about why these financial institutions are going to go through the hoops of hiring an administrator, becoming onboarded with keys, and start using this kind of tech in order to do business in Bitcoin. And why is Bitcoin such a good collateral, super collateral, like you've
Yeah.
you've stated it, that's going to drive this activity?
I think two main points why they will be interested into that. First of all, you need to provide a proper UI, UX for them. So what we're building with our all our platforms, we're building non-custodial environment built on top of multisig, but we're building it in very easy way so everyone can understand, easily onboarded, and there's no it's basically no brainer. You can be easily onboarded. There's no need for you to understand depths of Bitcoin, I mean, in a technical way, in order to start using any platform that we have built. You can go and check hodlhodl.com, or you can go and check land.hodlhodl.com. You will understand what I'm talking about. Now, the second thing is that, as I mentioned, Bitcoin is a super collateral. And I did a couple of speeches on that topic. I also wrote an article for Bitcoin Magazine. So I think that the one of the reasons, and it's crucial thing for lenders, and especially for traditional finance lenders, is that Bitcoin is highly liquid asset. So Bitcoin is tradable 24/7. For a lender, this means that if there's a liquidation happening, you can basically liquidate your collateral Sunday, Saturday, like Christmas Eve, whatever. Markets on it, this is something that we as Bitcoiners, we actually are used to that. But traditional finance guys, they use that, bell rings at 10 a.m. in the morning and it's over at 4 o'clock in evening, and there's bank holidays, there's like Sunday, Saturday, and that's it. So we're used to that. The Bitcoin is highly liquid. You can liquidate. For lender, it's crucial and it's important. As we discussed this with you, like if you have a real estate as a collateral, this might take years to liquidate, and the value of the collateral might just go down sharply while you're trying to liquidate that through court or through anything. That's the first thing. The another thing is that Bitcoin is actually, you can issue loans on top of Bitcoin remotely, meaning you can serve wider audience and more people if you're using, even if you're using USD, US dollar, and you're allowed to issue loans outside of your jurisdiction, then you can just serve people in other markets. You don't need these people to be presented in order to receive loans, right? You just need to like connect with them through the platform like Debifi, and there you go. Uh, Important thing also that Bitcoin through multisig is highly transparent. You can follow the movement of collateral. You can understand, you can verify in real time that collateral is there, it sits there, and the value is like real time data, real time value. So I think these things are crucial and important for lenders. and of course the opportunity. I think the opportunity to earn higher fees. Like Bitcoiners, we understand the value of Bitcoin, and sometimes we're ready to overpay if you compare uh, tra- with traditional assets. Like if we borrow against our Bitcoin, we can pay 10%, 12% sometime, even more, as we see from experience from our existing platform, in order to hold this collateral, this precious asset, which is Bitcoin, and not to sell it and borrow against that. So I think, but again, there are many other like many other characteristics to Bitcoin, which actually makes it super collateral. I think the most crucial are those that I have just told you.
No, I mean, I think that that makes a lot of sense, and really just to kind of characterize this, there's a I grabbed your article once you mentioned it, and that's going to be in the show notes. Incredible article. I remember reading it when you published it. It was a little while back. But even further back in 2021, there was a great article written on Bitcoin Magazine talking about, in terms of Bitcoin's overall trading hours, Bitcoin was about a year at that point from flipping the most traded financial instruments in the world,
Yeah,
the S&P 500 index. And now Bitcoin, effectively, because of its 24-hour market, is going to be the asset, or it is, and it will continue in perpetuity unless the network stops producing blocks and trading halts.
yeah,
Um, to It will be the most traded asset in the world, period. And I think people, they don't grok like what that means in terms of
yeah,
the actual price discovery of Bitcoin
yeah.
and Bitcoin as a signal.
Yeah, and I think another thing, I just rechecked the article actually. So another important crucial thing for lender is that Bitcoin is actually scarce. There's limited supply of Bitcoin. There's not going to be more than 21 million, and the Bitcoin is getting more and more valuable over the time. We have this halving thing. We have a lot of things. There's less and less Bitcoin is becoming, and I think over the time it's going to happen. We already see the traditional finance companies like BlackRock, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and all that stuff. It's they are already onboarded or in process of onboarding to Bitcoin. The wave is just going to be bigger, you know. There will be more liquidity, there will be more traditional finance, and hopefully at some point in the future you will be able to go to your bank and say, hey guys, I don't want to sell Bitcoin. I have Bitcoin. I don't want to sell it. I want to borrow against that. And they will be running after you in order to offer you a best condition and in order to have you as a customer and issue a loan and using Bitcoin as an underlying asset, which is a collateral in this case.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting to think about what the world looks like in hyper Bitcoinization and like what finance looks like. There's a lot of thought experiments and theories about how it all plays out. Where do you see? So it sounds like you believe that Bitcoin and Bitcoin multisig is going to be a mechanism for financial institutions to offer services. Like, how far do you see that scaling into Bitcoin's future?
I do understand that the modern traditional finance is more about custody than anything else. So they are not used to think, which is called non-custodial think or no custody and like shared custody, collaborative custody, whatever. Just say it. But I think it's like Bitcoin is the best money out there, the best asset out there, and I think it's only going for them. They're going to understand that you can actually pretty easily apply a non-custodial approach, and you don't need to have a full custody of the assets in order to to use that. And I think this is something that another thing why we believe that our mission in Debifi is important. We want actually to onboard traditional financial institutions, not only show them how Bitcoin is superior collateral and asset class to other assets and collateral classes, but also to onboard them to Bitcoin standard, which is in our personal experience, which is not no custody, direct relationship with your counterparty, and like full transparency. So this is what we want to bring on the table, and this is what we want to show to the financial institutions, like not only opportunity to earn huge profits, and I literally
Mhm.
believe in that, because if you will compare, like, again, as I mentioned, if you compare rates in Bitcoin lending to rates in in more traditional collateral assets, you will see the huge difference, because again, Bitcoiners are crazy people. They understand the value of the Bitcoin. We have low time preference, and we understand that it's very valuable. And so yeah, this is what we want to achieve effectively. We want to onboard as many as possible traditional financial institution to the Bitcoin standard. It's not like some ideological thing. We're still understand that these are traditional finance companies. They don't treat Bitcoin as we treat it, but we also have pretty rational approach to them, and we have some rational arguments, like you can earn more, you can earn directly, you will get all the interest payment, you will be able to liquidate. It's a win-win. It's going to be over collateralized loan. You will always get uh, your loan amount plus your interest, if in case the borrower will fail to repay the loan obligation. So it's only win-win for them. And on the way, we're going to show them how multisigs are easy to be done, and how it's easy to operate with Bitcoin. Yet it's easy, but it's also very secure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I personally think it's not the fact that the it's difficult, but it's just mentally accepting that you as a business are going to start moving in that direction. I'm really excited for Devify. Like I feel like I've learned a lot because of this interview, so I really appreciate you kind of teasing it out for me, Max. Can you talk to us a little bit more about your roadmap? I think you mentioned it earlier, but I think you're going into beta later this year. What can people
Yeah.
expect from the platform?
So yeah, we're going to the beta later this year, probably as I mentioned, end of Q3, and you will be able to borrow. First, you will be able to borrow against your Bitcoin with stablecoins. We're going to launch the stablecoin only borrowing. Then, in 6 months after we're going to launch the platform, you will be able to borrow in fiat. We're going to start adding some fiat liquidity providers to the platform. And then at the end of 2024, we're going to launch secondary market, but I think it's more useful for lenders than for borrowers, because borrowers, they appreciate the liquidity, they appreciate also a variety of different currencies. So this is what lenders can expect in first 6 to 12 months. We're going to improve the platform from the beta version. And and very important thing, we're going to add hardware wallet support, so you will be able to hold your keys to the collateral, to the escrow, in your hardware wallet. Most probably we're going to start with several wallets, and we're just going to expand this opportunity to multiple wallets as much as we can. So yeah, in first 12 months, expect to be able to borrow in stable coins, to be able to borrow in fiat, different fiat currencies, to be able to hold your keys with hardware wallet if you don't trust our application. And yeah, and expect highly liquid markets. So I think these are the most crucial things. And it's actually like, these are most important things for any borrower, because like, I had an experience 1 month ago. I would love to use Debifi, because at some point, I think any sane Bitcoiner, he just thinks, well, okay, there's a tempting proposition. Maybe you can buy a house, or you can buy a new car, or pay for your child tuition. But then you just think, okay, I need to sell my Bitcoin. Maybe I should borrow against that. And if Debify would be already there, that would actually make my life easier. So I'm trying to, speed up the development without, of course, affecting the quality of that. So yeah, but I think it's going to be a massive and very changing tool for the whole industry, because at the moment the lending industry, you won't probably you don't feel that because you're in US, but it's mostly concentrated in US, the lending industry, and outside of US it's really hard to borrow against your Bitcoin. And what we are want to build, and what we effectively want to create, is a global lending aggregator for different liquidity providers. We've even been approached by by some centralized exchanges that operates in Bitcoin space already. They don't have a lending tools at the moment, but they want to start offering to their customers through our API, or they want to have extra liquidity put into the lending space. So effectively what we're going to be building is a global lending aggregator for Bitcoiners across the globe, so you can borrow in any certain market that you want.
Well, I know that the best products are made by founders who are scratching their own itch. So that's really exciting, Max. And honestly, I'm excited to see this product come to market. I know I've had conversations with my wife about, you know, when do we buy a house? When do we do these things? What do we do with the, at one price? So, you know, the further financialization of Bitcoin is good for Bitcoiners. 100%. It
Yeah.
gives us optionality. Max, so your beta is coming out. Who can get access to the beta? Who would help you if they actually started testing out this product? Yeah, what's the call to action there?
I think the beta will be right from the start. Most probably is going to be publicly available. So if you want to borrow, you will be able to use that. Again, just remember that most probably we're going to launch with stablecoins only, but there's actually a chance that we might launch with fiat as well, because we have some requests from fiat liquidity providers that they want to start operating as fast as possible. So I think what we mean by beta is that we might we might say, okay, guys, you cannot borrow like 1 million. You will be able to borrow, let's say, 100,000, 200,000, some limited amount of money, and let's say for a limited amount of time period. We're actually aiming to provide loans for with the duration of 5 years, even more. But maybe for a beta, we're going to say, okay, guys, the it's a beta, smaller amounts, let's say up to $500,000, and a smaller time frame, like let's say up to 2-3 years. So, but I think when we're going to launch the beta, most probably it's going to be mostly for lenders, because we're going to have some limited amount of liquidity providers first, big liquidity providers. So they probably going to be able to satisfy liquidity needs, but it's going to be the limited amount. So we're going to focus on the lending side, so basically provide some upgrade some technical functionality for the lenders. For borrowers, it's just going to work right from the start, pretty same way that it's going to work after we're going to release the product out of beta. So it's going to be a public
With
beta.
hardware wallet support too, yeah? On the beta?
uh, hopefully
Okay.
with hardware wallets, but even if we
These are the
if
hard questions, Max.
yeah, 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 of course, I understand, but we're building a standalone app which is going to work pretty similar to hardware wallet. So security wise, it's going to be pretty safe, and same level of security as a hardware wallet. That's another surprise thing, and
Would love to learn
and
more
another
about that when it becomes public,
yeah,
for
that
sure.
that's a different approach that we want to build. We want to build also tools for people who don't have hardware wallets, but they have a mobile phone, let's say. And
Mhm,
so our Debifi ecosystem is going to work like desktop application and mobile application. It's going to be like two parts of one ecosystem, right? We want to have more
mhm,
flexibility for people who are borrowing.
mhm,
Now, yeah, you will be able to borrow, and hardware wallets. Even if we're not going to launch with hardware wallet support right from the start, then most probably in first couple months after the launch, we're going to add them
mhm.
gradually. Not,
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, running the lending platform Lend Hodl at the moment is, um, for for many people, hardware wallet is not the crucial thing. But of course we're talking about lower amount of money and lower
Mhm.
time period. So I suppose that if when you're borrowing 1 million, you obviously want to use like Trezor or Cold Card or Ledger, right? So we're going to add this functionality. This is one of our highest priority tasks at the moment.
100%. No, I mean, it makes complete sense. And hey, you're right. That's why it's called a beta version, right? So you can't
Yeah,
expect all functionality, but I think this audience is interested in that functionality, and I think our audience is going to be interested in this product. So, Max, again, thank you for coming on the show. Congratulations on winning the Bitcoin 2023 pitch competition. Excited to have you in Nashville, maybe Amsterdam if things play out. I know that you're busy putting on Baltic Honey Badger right before. But Max, I want to give you a last word to close out the show.
yeah. Well, my last word for this show, at least, is that well, if you want to use Bitcoin as a collateral, borrow. Use it as a collateral. Only borrow against your Bitcoin. Don't try to chase the yield with Bitcoin. I think it's pretty retarded, to be honest, and it's very unsafe and risky. A lot of people been burned with that, with Celsius, BlockFi, and other companies and platforms. So only borrow against your Bitcoin. This is for borrowers, and for lenders. Well, you need to start exploring opportunities that Bitcoin provide as a collateral, and those fees and profits that actually Bitcoiners can provide to you. So you better get onboarded to the Bitcoin standard.
Awesome. Well, lenders, users, make your Bitcoin work for you. There's a massive opportunity with Bitcoin. Bitcoin Magazine, we fully believe that. That's why we are all in on Bitcoin. That's why we focus on Bitcoin. And Max, thank you again for coming on to the show. Excited to have you back on. Maybe around when you launch, we can do a recap
Sure,
and see how people are enjoying Debifi.
sure. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
All right, awesome. Well, with that being said, y'all, thank you so much for watching the show. I am CK. You can follow me on Twitter at CK_snarks. You can find me this October 12th through the 13th at Bitcoin Amsterdam. I'll see you all next time. Peace.
Thank you, Miami, for the last 3 years in this amazing city. The whole world shut down, but Miami welcomed us with open arms. We want to show Bitcoin to the whole world. We are taking the conference on the road to set the stage for Bitcoin in a new city. Nashville. Bitcoin 2024 is coming to Nashville in Tennessee, a city that is known as a music and freedom city. Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville from July 25th to 27th.